Yeah, can you tell me if it works? Thanks. Huh? I think it's happening. Let me test the sound out. Doobie-doo-doo. Yeah. Yeah. Roll that back down. Hello. Steph is just testing.
Is it on your page or is it on the
It's on my page.
Oh, okay.
There's a link on the event that goes to my page. Yeah. Yeah. It's happening now. This is the stream. It's happening. We are just testing to see that it's working, because I don't know how to use computers.
Test the sound.
Testing the sound.
Sure it's working because it seems like someone's responding to you.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, let me go to that. There's a place I can see where people comment. Peter! Thank you, Peter! Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah! Hi, everybody! Welcome to my online exhibition. This is so exciting. Where do I look? There's the camera. Oh, hi, Adrian. Hi, Birdie. Okay, yes, time to be professional and start my exhibition. Woohoo! Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Some of you know me and some of you don't, so I will give a little bit of an introduction as to who I am and what the heck I'm doing here and what the heck you're doing here. All these nice people saying nice things. So my name is Iris Moore, and I'm an artist in Victoria, BC. I do art of all kinds. I do painting and drawings and stop motion animation primarily, and recently have been focusing a lot on portraiture. I've become really interested in creating art about death specifically in the last few years, mostly starting when my dad got diagnosed with terminal brain cancer 5 years ago now. And I started thinking about death a lot and realizing that it's a thing I was gonna have to deal with. And so how was I gonna do that? So I just started talking about it a lot and thinking about it a lot, realizing that it's really important to talk about it and think about it. And that's not something our society does. So not so openly, at least. So I started creating stop motion animated films and other things, other types of art around death, to just encourage dialogue and encourage people to think about it and see it as a part of life and not something that we need to push away and deny, because that just creates more suffering, if you ask me. So this project at Life's Door, I got the idea for this almost exactly a year ago, actually, now that I think about it. And it came in a dream, so it's always exciting when I get inspiration in a dream. And I woke up and was like, I need to make portraits of people who are dying. I need to have conversations with them and talk to them about what it's like, because how often do you get to have just open, honest conversation with strangers who were facing death? And I felt like they would be the ones who would have really interesting and important things to say. So I didn't know how I was going to do it, because I wasn't going to be making any money. I was planning on making these portraits and giving them to the subjects. I was like, well, I'm just gonna figure it out. And I did a crowdfunding campaign, and people have been. I have to give a big thanks to all the GoFundMe donors and everyone who has supported this campaign, because it makes it like a community effort. It becomes all of our project, and I think that's so beautiful. So really big thanks to all my donors. Also, if you are waiting for your card or print that you get as a result of the donation, don't worry, it is coming. It's taking a bit of time. Yeah, so that's the project at Life's Door. And as for this exhibition, this online exhibition, if you go to the event description, all of our projects. If you go to the event description. By the way, if you just found this video on my wall, is there a link? Just search at Life's Door and you'll find the exhibition. In the description, there are links to my website with some of my animated films about death, There's a link to an album with art for sale. There's a link to the album that has photos of all the portraits. I'll be showing them here, but you won't be able to see them that clearly, so you can follow along in the album in like a separate window. There's a link to a resource folder put together by local death doula Chelsea Peddle, who's been wonderful and helpful in all of this. She has also started a little dialogue question. It's a pinned post in the discussion. If you go to the discussion, see the question she has posed and have some discussion. There's a link to donation pages. This is now a free exhibition, but anyone is welcome to donate if they want to support a poor artist. And there are audio clips too. There's a link to some audio clips that are actually from the conversations I had, which are just gold. Like, I would love to just like share everything that everyone said, but I didn't. So you can just listen to some little snippets. And I think that's mostly all that the exhibition encompasses. This stream, I don't know how long it's going to be, maybe like half an hour or something. I'm just going to spend a couple minutes with each portrait. People can ask questions if they want. And yeah, should be fun. I'm so happy to have everyone here and to be connecting psychically with all of you. Oh, let's do a fun thing. Okay, because there are so many people tuning in right now, if I was doing this live, I'd be like, let's do a unifying, I don't know, something. Let's all say the same thing at the same time, but we're all separately in our own homes. So we're just going to do this together, but separately. What are we going to do? I don't know. On the count of 3, we're all going to say, let's all say, Garga blarg blarg. Ready? Garga blarg blarg is what we're going to say. It's a Rick and Morty reference. 1, 2, 3. Garga blarg blarg! Yay! We just created like an echo throughout Victoria and Montreal and wherever else you happen to be in the world watching this. My roomies are with me. They're in the room. It's nice. We all garga blarg blarg together. Okay, well, shall we begin the show? I don't think there's anything else I have to say. I'm Iris. I'm an artist. I live in Victoria. Maybe I'll just say a quick thank you also to the most important people in this whole project, which is the participants, the subjects, who were so... I was such an honor to get to talk to them. I can't even describe like how beautiful it was to have these conversations with mostly strangers who I just put the word out through word of mouth, and people were like, oh yeah, I'll talk to you about my terminal illness or about my old age or whatever. And I just am so grateful. I know some of them are here watching, and I want to send out big love and big thanks to these people. And you will all get your portraits in the coming weeks. So, shall we begin? I'm going to go in the same order that of the album of art that I posted. There should be a link in the description. If you can't find the link, go to my profile and there's an album there. And I'm going to go in the same order that they are in the album. So that has us beginning with... I put all of the portraits back here so you can kind of see. And we are going to start with Lowell. Sweet. Okay, hang on. So it's going to be a little hard to see. Actually, this is pretty clear. So this is Lowell. And he is the first person I talked to for this project. He's a friend of mine, and he's 84 years old, unless he's had a birthday since our last conversation, which was actually in the summer. And he's one of the more inspiring people I've ever met. He's I don't have a lot of older friends. He's like my one old friend who I get to talk to about life, and I'm really grateful for that. So in our conversation, so he was born in Oregon. He's 84. And he went to a school where he said he describes in high school. Oh yeah, by the way, in the album, there are write-ups. There are little like summaries of these conversations in the photo album with the photos of the portraits, so you go read them. But yeah, everyone around him knew what they wanted to be when they grew up, and he didn't know what he wanted to be. He just knew that he wanted to understand the world around him. So he's a very, very passionate, lifelong learner. He's very, very passionate about just like trying to understand the world, and that's one thing that's really fun about talking to him. So he became a professor of math, and he moved to BC so that he could live on the water and live in the forest and contemplate and be profound, was the way he kind of jokingly put it. And in talking to him, it was very clear, this passion that he had for learning, and I saw this image so clearly of this like gold coming out of him that was like the knowledge, I guess you could say it represents. It's just like this passion for knowledge and learning. And you can kind of see there are all these little drawings that are kind of like diagrams and like geometric equations and, you know, things that to me represent like learning and knowledge. And these little gears also that are kind of like his gears are just always, always turning. And one thing I really appreciate talking to Lowell is that he loves being old. He thinks it's great, and I really rarely get to talk to older people who just think it's awesome to be old. I usually just hear about all the difficulties. But he, as a person who learning is everything to him, he's like, yeah, the older you get, the more you know, and the smarter you are. So it's awesome being old. It's difficult physically sometimes, but like he really loves it, and that as a young person, that's really nice to hear. Because if I'm lucky, I'll be old one day. So I really appreciated that. Anything else I wanted to say? There's more in the little description, but I think we'll check up here. Yeah. You can read more in the summary if you feel so inclined. But this is Lowell. He's an enormously inspiring human being, and this is oil paint and gold leaf and gold pen and little gears, and this is a wood panel. Only circular painting I've done. It looks like the earth to me. Yeah. So that's Lowell. That's portrait number 1. And let's see who portrait number 2 is. Portrait number 2. Here we have. It's going to be a little hard with the glare of the frame, I'm afraid. But yeah, you'll have to look at the photo album to get like a better picture of it. But this is it, and this is Arya. And some of you will know Arya. I had a great lesson when she contacted me, because she's a friend of mine as well. And she contacted me and was like, hey, I'm interested in your portrait series, because I put the word out. And I was like, I don't think you know. I don't know if you know, this is about people who are being faced with death. And she's like, yeah, I want to tell you about my heart condition. And I was just like, it was such a good lesson in remembering that we don't know what's going on for people. I'd known this person for years and I had no idea that she had a heart condition that's pretty serious. And so she talked to me. Yeah, she is 25 years old, I believe, unless she's also had a birthday since we last talked. And she was diagnosed with second-degree Mobitz type 2 in her early 20s. She was having fainting episodes and happened to get a job as a receptionist in a cardiologist's office. And so the people there recognized her symptoms there as something that might be a heart problem. And so she has this heart condition that just increases her chances of heart failure. And she can't get surgery because she would need a pacemaker, which needs to be replaced every 10 years, which would mean having heart surgery like 8 times in her life. She can get surgery, but it's high risk. So that's the position she's in. But we had a beautiful conversation because we talked a lot about her Guatemalan ancestry. You can actually see, you'd be able to see better in the photo, but I made these little sort of Mayan faces that are meant to represent her ancestry. And she talked about how down in South America and Central America, death is viewed in a pretty different way than it is here. And it's celebrated. People have the Day of the Dead and have these great celebrations where they connect with their dead loved ones and their ancestors, and it's not swept under the carpet and shoved under the rug. It's quite acknowledged. It made me feel very envious. I wish our culture had that kind of relationship with death. But that was really, really beautiful to hear and to talk about. And, knowing that she has this increased risk of heart failure, she tries to live each day to the fullest and just like is really active because she knows that she could die at any time, which is interesting because that is true for all of us, but she happens to have a diagnosis that makes it feel a little more real for her. So really took inspiration in hearing about, the way she like really tries just to make the most of each day and not get too hung up on little things. And the way the drawing came about is she has this beautiful blonde hair, and in our conversation she just had such warmth in the way she talked about like her family and friends, and I just had this image of her hair just coming out and like wrapping warmly around the people around her. So this like gold hair came about. This is all done in gold pen. And this is graphite on paper that is cut out. Same with the hands. This face was actually a second attempt. I had done a first one and then tried to artfully splash some ink on her face, but it ended up looking like quite violent, so I totally scrapped it. And ended up making this one, which I'm really happy with. And actually, I forgot this one. So all the portraits are being given to the subjects, but Arya said that from the very beginning, she's like, I want to donate my portrait for you to sell, so that it's a way of like financially supporting the project. So that was really sweet. So this is actually for sale. I've not yet thought of a price, which is a mistake. But if anyone's interested, I don't know, maybe I'll think of a price right now. That's weird. No, message me if you're interested and we'll talk about it. Yes, this is Arya. If no one buys it, I'll happily keep it. I love this piece. Okay, who do we have next? Is everyone still hearing me? Is this still working, Steph? Right on. Oh, by the way, at the end of all this, there's a little treat. We have a treat for you. So, stick around. And next we have Allison. And you'll notice in this portrait that there are in fact two people. And this is because when I went to Coquitlam, light is such an issue. When I went to Coquitlam to talk to Allison, because we'd been emailing, she'd reached out, she said, I have cancer, I'd be interested in talking to you. I went, and the door was answered by this woman who was like, I'm not Allison, I'm Allison's twin sister, Mandy. And I thought, oh my god, I had no idea that Allison was a twin and that her twin would get to be here. So I had the honor of getting to talk to both of them about their experience, which was really, really interesting because twins are so connected, and when one of them is going through a process like this, it involves both of them. So, so I talked to Allison and Mandy. They were born in England but raised in Burnaby, and they both were taught English as a second language. And Allison, she had a pretty impressive, accomplished career. I think she worked with immigrants, and she set up daycares and set up English language programs and did grant writing for immigrants, did a lot of important work. So I was pretty impressed in hearing the things she had to say about her career. But she was diagnosed last year with, a kidney cancer. I believe. And it was just after she'd retired and she had all these plans. And then suddenly was dealing with this like pretty serious, pretty rare kidney cancer. And so she's been dealing with that and trying to, they've been trying some alternative treatments. And it was really touching to be there with both of the sisters because it was so clear how Mandy, who had come from, she lives on Orcas Island, I believe, had come from the States to come and be with Allison, and she was just so attentive and like offering her coffee and offering her tea and water, and just it was so clear that she was really wanting to be there for her sister. And when I talked to them about the diagnosis, Mandy described how it felt like it was happening to her because, this is her twin sister and they're so connected that it was like hard to even make that separation. So I was really moved by that because now she's going through this process where, well, they're going through this process where one of them is, Allison's actually in palliative care right now, and one of them's going to be left behind and no life without their sister. So it was sad and beautiful, and I really admired the courage they were showing and the honesty. And yeah, so with this portrait, I really just wanted to show like the love and tenderness and connection between the two. They had done this amazing photo shoot, and I think their daughter-in-law had taken the photos, and they sent me one of them that I worked with, and the love was so clear between them, and I just wanted to show that with their hair. So I did this kind of pencil crayon with this is silver pen in between. And it's all kind of weaving and winding together to show their connection. Yeah. Yeah, so that's Allison. I'm sending her and Mandy lots of love right now. Okay. Who do we have next? Hi, Caitlin. Hi, Harrison. Hi, Bosa. Hi, Mom. Hi, all of you. So nice. Next we have. I love every one of these people so much. Next we have. Kim. Oh, you can't see. Oh, see, I have to have this curtain open, otherwise the webcam quality gets all bad. Maybe I can half close it. Oh, see, it gets all like laggy. You know what? Just look at the photos in the photo album. Okay, this is Kim. Yeah, I had such an interesting conversation with Kim. He was one of those people who had so many interesting things to say. I could have made a whole show out of our conversation. I included some of his quotes in the write-up, and I think he's one of the audio clips as well. But this is Kim. He's 49 years old, and he was diagnosed with HIV when he was in his early 20s, and now has kidney disease and multiple myeloma cancer, blood cancer. So he has sort of a triple threat, is the way he described it to me. And it's really complicated because all of the treatments for each thing are canceled out by the other thing he has. Like you can't get a kidney transplant if you have HIV, or you can't have a blood. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, it's a pretty serious situation. So he reached out to me because he's sort of like preparing for, he's thinking about how he wants to spend the rest of his time. He was a graphic designer. He grew up in Vancouver, sort of in the punk scene, and there we go. And some of the most, and he's worked in the HIV industry as like a peer support. And one of the most interesting things we talked about, this was so inspiring to me, was he talked about like trying to figure out what queer death looks like because he's gay. And it was so inspiring because he talked about how like, it's kind of new that being queer is as supported and celebrated as it is now. It's still not fully supported and celebrated, obviously, but like in the 80s and 90s, there were all these people who were lost to the AIDS crisis, and all these people who were, not celebrated as being gay in their death. And so the way he described it, he's like, I was not accepted and celebrated on my way in, so how can I be like nurtured and authentic and celebrated on my way out? What does it look like? And the customs haven't been created yet for what it could look like, for like what queer death could look like. And so he's just having those conversations now and asking those questions and being like, what does that look like? How can I make my death mean something to the whole queer community? And I thought that was just so inspiring. That was not a conversation I'd ever heard before. And I talk about death all the time. So I loved that. He had a lot of interesting things to say. He talked about finding solace in the sense of interconnectedness that he feels in a way that is scientifically and spiritually. When he dies, he's still like he still leaves traces on this earth, and like we're connected in a lot of different ways. And so that's how I came about with this kind of like dotty. You can't see. If you look in the photo album, you'll be able to see. Go to the event description, go to the link, photo album. That'll show you the good picture. Because I have all these dots that to me kind of represent the interconnectedness that he talked about. Because we are all interconnected, whether you believe in whatever you believe in. There are all these ways that we are. So it seemed he didn't have a lot of fear around death. He was a big advocate for medically assisted dying. This is a conversation that came up with a lot of people I talked to, because he doesn't want to die a vegetable. He doesn't feel like he needs to suck out every last bit of juice he has before the end of his life. He wants to die while he's still present and like feeling like himself. So that was another thing we talked about. And yeah, just a very inspiring soul, this guy. I really appreciated my conversation with him. And another thing was that he had just moved to Victoria before he got his diagnosis. So he's like in a new city, all of a sudden facing a terminal diagnosis. So he's got a pretty intense situation going on. And he's just been, the way he talked about it was with such grace, even though it's been hard. I know he shared some of that as well. But I really respected the grace with which he talked about it. So, hi Kim, I don't know if you're watching, but really appreciated talking to you. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm trying to talk about my materials a bit too. I used a lot of materials for him. This is white Conte and charcoal, a lot of charcoal. This is copper leaf, and I used paint pen and graphite and pen. I just used like a bunch of different stuff for this one. Yeah, check out the photo in the photo album and read the little write-up that I did. Tra-la-la. Oh, yeah. It's so nice to share all these beautiful people. Hi, Andrew. Yeah, it was so inspiring to talk to all these folks. Next we have Nameless. See, this one, it's hard to tell what's going on, so I really want to try and show it in the video. But as you can see, these are little bones and feathers that are hanging. Yeah, have a look at the photo album. So this is Nameless. Some of you will know them. They're a friend of mine, and they reached out to me when they found out I was doing this project and asked if I would consider talking to someone who has experienced frequent suicidal ideation in their life. I was like, yeah, completely. That's like absolutely a way of facing death on a daily basis. And we had the most inspiring conversation. This is one of the most inspiring people I know, in which they shared with me the challenges of being a person who experiences depression really regularly, where they can't access their self-compassion, and they're sad for no reason, and it's for like 6 months, and they feel guilty for feeling sad because their life is like good. And they shared with me all the different strategies that they've come up with over the years to combat these feelings, which are really hard and really real. They talked about, one of them was like, okay, like, I know I can't make it another week, so I'll just make it one more day. And like, I know I can't make it another day, so I'll just make it for one more breath. Okay, one more breath. One more breath, just like little things at a time. They talked about some of their strategies involve taking actions that involve being committed to this life, like setting up an RRSP and going to the doctor about a thing that's been present for a while, and just like all the creative ways they've had to come up with keeping themselves here, because there are times when it gets really, really hard. And I don't know, our society, there's support out there for people in this position, but it's not always, we haven't always figured out how to be the best support for people who are struggling to this degree. So I'm really glad that they are the person they are, because they're so creative, and they have good friends in their life, and they credit their friends with being, part of the reason they're still here. We talked about, what was the other thing I wanted to share this 1 minute? Oh, they said this beautiful thing about how they like, part of the reason they're still here is because as a human being who's connected to other human beings, like, you don't only belong to yourself, you belong to everyone around you, and how if you were to check out, you're like taking all these pieces of people with you. And they described it in a really poetic way. It's in the write-up next to the photo. But yeah, in my painting, I wanted to show them in a way that made them look sort of shrouded, and like surrounded by this darkness. These are sort of crow wings or raven wings around, but still looking like beautiful and strong and badass, because that's how I see them, because they are. They're like total queen witch, awesome. Anyway, I have a lot of love for this person. Yeah, and they talked about how to like create meaning in their life so that they want to be here, because it's sort of all up to us all to make our own meaning. And yeah, they are trying to shape their story in a way that makes sense and feels authentic, and like will keep them wanting to be here, because sometimes they feel great and they know that, again, they'll struggle. So yeah, just keep it on. Mwah. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Much love to you, Nameless. Oh yeah, all right, let's see. What do we have next? Hi, Erin. Hi, Suzanne. Hi, Kaden. Hi, Maya. Hi, Adam. Well, I meant to message you today, Adam. Oh my goodness. Hi, Kim. Everybody's here at the party. Woohoo, woohoo. Yeah, if you're just tuning in, oh my goodness. I didn't see all these people. Hoi, hoi, hoi. Ha, la, la, la. Yeah, if you're just tuning in, go to the event description and I'm sorry, I'm just seeing all these comments for the first time. Go to the event description. It's got the link to the photo album of all the portraits, because you can't see them that well in this video. Okay, who's next? Next we have... Also, just let me take a second to look at some of these comments. Oh, these people! People I know and don't know. This is beautiful. You guys. Nah. going live. Thanks, Andrew. Golden Wisp. Meow. This is great. I don't know how to, I'm sure there's a way for me to see how many people there are here, but I don't know how, and that's maybe a better thing, because, oh.
I'm sorry.
74! There's 74 people. That's so many! Okay, sweet. Continuing on. Aw. Aw. Hi, Josie. Okay. Mamana. So here we have, this one you can see. This is Tessa. So Tessa reached out to me from Thunder Bay. That's where she lives. She's my age, a little older, early 30s. And she reached out because she suffers from really, really severe endometriosis. And when we talked, I asked her about, if it was something that was fatal, because I'd not heard of endometriosis being like that before, but she has such intense pain on a really daily basis or on a regular basis that it brings up death in her mind a lot, which anyone who experiences really chronic pain probably can relate to, because it's the only way to make it stop in some people's minds. So endometriosis, for those who don't know, is it's like when your uterus lining is like essentially growing outside your uterus, right, Kayla? Kind of, yeah. And other places it can grow on other organs, and it's really messed up. And there is not a ton of options for people. Probably because there's not a ton of research about it. Probably because it's only happening to ladies. So yeah, I had a really lovely talk with Tessa. She's such a wonderful person. About just the pain, the like dizziness and digestive pain and nausea and paralyzed limbs and all these things that she experiences that are really debilitating. And she's an artist, and it keeps her from getting to make her art, and that's another thing that's like a really big challenge for her. But she also talked about how it's learned. I asked her what kind of things she's learned from her experience, and she said it really has taught her to cut the nonsense out of life, like you kind of have a different idea of what's important when you have severe suffering in your life, and what's not important, and what you're going to put your energy towards, because she only has so much of it. So I made this portrait with these black flowers growing out of her, sort of as like an attempt at a meditative image of her, as if the flowers are her pain. I wanted to depict her holding her pain with peace, because that was like my wish for her, because I think she's actually trying to raise money for surgery, because there's a surgery that you can get in the States, but it's like $30,000 or something crazy. It might be more than that even. So in the meantime, I just hope for her to be able to, work with the pain and, work with the pain. Yeah. Yeah, so sending love to Tessa. This is your beautiful face. This is a pen and paint pen on wood. All of that you may have noticed. Every single portrait has a shiny thing. That ended up being sort of the theme that strings them all together. There's gold leaf or copper leaf or gold pen or silver pen in all of them. This one just has this little spot in the corner. Yeah, that's Tessa. Oh, my beautiful people. Thanks, Ward. Thanks, Linda. Solomon. Aw, Maya, Helen, and Matthew. Oh, Robin. So nice. Okay. Oh, okay. Who do we have next? Okay. So once again, if you're just tuning in, go to the event description or to my wall. Hi, Brooks! And that'll take you to the album that has photos of all these portraits, because you can only see them so well on this on this screen, especially as it gets darker. So here we have Barbara. Barbara was one of the very first people I talked to. I think she was the second, maybe. And she lives on Bainbridge Island, and she's 93 years old. And she's not sick, but I was also talking to people who are just elderly because they're coming to the end of their lives. And she was so interesting, and we talked for like 3 hours. She was full of energy and full of curiosity, and also someone who very clearly is passionate about learning and just like understanding the world around them. She talked about politics, and she talked about science and philosophy and art and everything. Very vivacious woman. And she experienced death pretty early on in her life. Her father committed suicide when she was, I want to say, 10. A lot of facts to keep track of, so forgive me if I get it wrong. It'll be right in the write-up. I think I wrote it in the write-up. And she grew up. Yeah, she was an artist, a poet, a ceramicist. She has a master's in folklore and mythology, which I think is just so cool. This is the grandmother of Heather Fox, for any of you, or Heather Wolf. Sorry, I know Heather Fox as well. Heather Wolf, for any of you who know her. And she talked about death in a very like pragmatic and accepting way, where she was just like, your body becomes one with the grass and the worms and the flowers, and that's that. And I thought what was interesting is a lot of people I talked to had varying levels of acceptance around death, and it wasn't necessarily correlated with a belief in afterlife. There were people who I talked to who had acceptance around death who believed that there's more, and there were people who I talked to who had acceptance around death who believed that it's totally the end. And I thought that was really cool. So she's a person who, it believes it's the end, and but it was really at peace with it, because she's like, that's just how it is, why try and deny that? So she talked a lot about nature. She said she was talking about religious people finding meaning in heaven and hell, and her finding meaning in nature and in relationships. So that's sort of her meaning that she makes. So I wanted to do this kind of nature-y piece that described what she, or expressed what she had described about becoming one with nature when she dies, essentially. So I've got these, I tried to do kind of Pacific Northwest plants, West Coast plants. I've got like some chanterelles and rose hips and things. This would be like huckleberry leaves. And it's a little hard to tell, but if you look in the photo in the event description, there's a link to the album with the photos. I did an inlay with mother of pearl shell. So all of these are actually inlaid into this wood, which is black walnut. Oh. And this is oil paint. I'm officially an oil paint convert. It's just the best. Yeah. So yeah, Barbara, really inspiring person, Bainbridge Island. I hope to get to talk to her again. Oh yeah, she was also a big advocate for medically assisted dying. We talked a lot about that as well. She belongs to a group called Death with Dignity, and she experiences a lot of pain due to a spinal problem. I don't remember what it's called, but she talked about how it really would be nice to just like have the choice of when to go instead of having prolonged suffering. So she really believes in that as well. Yeah. Thanks, Barbara. If you're out there. Loved doing your face. Okay. That's that. Aw. I'm just going to take a moment in between here to read some of these nice comments. There's so many of you. Aw. It's kind of cool that I'm doing this online because there are people from all over. Across the seas, Megwin. Hi. Aw. Aw, yeah. And you know what? I might do a live exhibit one day. It might still get to happen. Who knows? For now, it is on the internet. Ah. And next we have... Boop, boop, boop. Hi, Jody! This... Go to the album if you want to see a proper photo. This is Alex. Alex was the last person I talked to, actually, for my project. We talked on the phone because he lives in Powell River, and he was a delightful human. He was born in Neuss, Germany, during the war, and he described being evacuated to the countryside with his family because the cities were being bombed, and he described having to walk back to his hometown over like 2 or 3 weeks with his family when he was 7 years old, which was a pretty interesting thing to hear about. And he lived on a farm, so he was around death a lot, but he said it wasn't a great topic of conversation in his family. This is something I asked a lot of people if death was talked about when they were growing up. So yeah, it wasn't so much for him, but he got married, had a couple kids, and then moved to BC, I believe. He said he left Germany because there were too many Germans there. And he now lives in Powell River, and he had a lot of peace in talking about death. He's got a heart condition. He has a blocked artery. But he also seems to like be very pragmatic and like accepting around it, because he's like, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. And I was inspired to see how many people seem to have quite a bit of acceptance around death. He said that the way he makes himself feel better if ever he's struggling is he thinks about the kids in the children's hospital. He says like they haven't even gotten to live, and I've had 80 years, so like how can I complain? And I thought that was pretty insightful. We talked a bit about kids and talked about how as a kid he and his friends would play on bombed buildings, just like these bomb sites, and he's like, kids will play anywhere, they'll find their way. And so there really is a lot of inspiration to be drawn from the children. But yeah, I really enjoyed talking to him. I did this all ink on paper, this drawing. His beard is made of leaves. Can you see? Can you see? Oh. And it's not always obvious why I make the art choices I make. Sometimes it is really obvious, and sometimes I'm like, his beard is leaves. It needs to be leaves. I don't know why. And sometimes I understand a little bit later. But with him, all I could think of is that he just was he was down to earth, and he was like his sense of acceptance. It's hard to describe in words. That's why I make art, He has a leaf beard. He was a lovely person. We're going to go out for a pint one day when you can come to Victoria when COVID's over. Hi, Alex. I don't know if you're able to watch this because Facebook. You don't have Facebook. Or you do, but you weren't sure. Anyway. Yeah. Let's see now. Aw. Thanks, Randy. Thanks, Chelsea. Thanks, Jordan. This is very... I've been working on this project for almost a year. It's really exciting to get to share all of this. It means a lot. Means a lot. Thank you. Ah, here we have... Oh, hi, Jen. Here we have... Robin. Can you see? This is Robin. Go to the event description for a link to the album that has photos of the portraits. I had a beautiful time with Robin. She lives in Vancouver, and I went over there to talk to her in person, and having a bad day. I was like really in my head and stressed about money and was like, meh, meh, meh. I just felt really ungrounded. And I went and talked to her, and she just like brought me right back down to my heart. Just hearing her story made me be like, oh yeah, like it just reminded me of what's important in life, and that conversation was important, and it was really it was grounding and beautiful. But yeah, this is Robin. She's also around my age, 33, I think she is. And she was diagnosed with kidney cancer when she was really young. She was 21 when she was diagnosed. And she had a really hard time in the way people were responding to her diagnosis because she was young, so all her friends were young and didn't have a lot of experience in knowing how to support a friend with cancer. So she found herself surrounded by a lot of just like positivity and like, yeah, we just got to have a positive attitude and, you know, these good intentions, but like she did not feel like her pain and fear were acknowledged for a really long time. But she felt like she couldn't be honest about that because everyone was just saying like that she needed to be positive. And then when she got her kidney removed, you know, everyone was saying, you must be so happy. You must want to live life to the fullest. You must be so grateful. And she just was still really not feeling seen and validated in her pain, which was really sad to hear because when space isn't made for those feelings, it's like, what do you do with them? They just sit inside you and you try and deny them, thinking there's something wrong with you, or like, it sounded like it was really isolating. And so I think over the years, it sounded like she stopped talking about it to people because she was still having it kind of chronically over the coming years, and she was just like, didn't want to share it with people because she was either surrounded by that, or when she moved to the island, she talked about how people were telling her that cancer is a result of a spiritual deficiency, or it's because of what you eat, or because of your emotions, or all these kind of like a lot of new age ideas that who knows if they're true or not. The point was she felt like blamed, you know, she felt like she was responsible for having the cancer because of the things people were telling her, and once again didn't feel supported. So she spent just like a lot of time having cancer and not being as supported as she wanted to be. She said her mother really, you know, there was a big switch when her mother really started validating her pain and acknowledging her fear, and it just like completely changed their relationship. But then, yeah, over time, she started connecting more with people who understood how to support and just like listen. She made friends with another person who had cancer, a guy who ended up being someone she was romantically involved with. And then he died a couple years later, and she said she then understood what it was like to be on the other side, and that what her friends had gone through in like not wanting to accept that she was sick, because it's a really hard thing to watch a loved one be dying or be sick. So she had a lot of empathy in the way that she then described understanding why people had responded the way they had to her. So now it's like, what, 12 years later? Or I don't know, it's been a long time. And she's still currently dealing with cancer. And when I asked her, you know, what does she want to do differently? She said she wants to be more open about it and talk about it more. Because we need to be able to talk about these things. So I was just so inspired by her. And this actually had the idea for this drippy hair. This is India ink. And this image came when I was falling asleep that night. And I just wanted to show like the pain and like the fear and the grief that was involved for her and that wasn't acknowledged for so long. And then we've got these like kind of butterfly moth wings, which I can only say I just kept having that image when we were talking, just the way she has this beautiful face, and the way I kept seeing butterfly wings on her face. So I was like, oh, I guess I'll do some butterfly or moth or whatever. But I mean, butterflies are a symbol of transformation, and having cancer probably really changes you. And she seems like she's done a lot of like reflecting and growing, and yeah. So I wish her all the best. I wish you all the best, Robin. I think you're watching. I'm giving you a big virtual hug right now. It was a delight to draw your face, your beautiful face. Hope you're well. Okay. I'm gonna read the comments again for just a second here. There's so many of you. Hey, neighbor. Yee. Hi, Irene. Aw. Aw. Oh. Yeah, read the write-ups in the photo albums because it has quotes from people and stuff. It's cool doing this online because at the show, I wouldn't have been going through each one and talking about my process to everybody. I would have been there and like people could have asked me questions, but this way, I don't know, everyone gets to hear and I get to share with everyone. All right. Oh, hi, Robin. Next we have. Hey. This is Andrew. Can you see? The event description has a link to the photo album. This is Andrew. I had a lot of fun drawing him. I had a lot of fun talking to him. He lives on the East Coast, and we did a video chat. So hard. Okay, here we go. Yeah. We did a video chat, and he was such a fun guy. He's one of those guys, he's 70, oh, how old is he? How old are you, Andrew? 74? I don't remember exactly. We're going to say 74, but he looks 50. You just would never have known. He is so youthful and vibrant and vivacious and, like, funny and, yeah, great guy. He got in contact with me because he has had, oh gosh, Andrew, I've forgotten what kind of cancer you have. I've been doing a pretty good job of remembering. 70, he's 70, you're 77? You are not 77! You're not. You're lying. I know it. I know. Anyway, so he was diagnosed with terminal cancer 18 years ago. So you just never know with cancer, really. But he, let's see if you've answered my question. I've got it written. What kind of cancer did you have? Oh, I've lost my... Prostate cancer. Thank you. There we go. Yeah, was diagnosed with prostate cancer at 59. And he also had experienced death pretty early on in his life. Well, not as, well, anyway. He lost a brother and a mother both to suicide. So I think this is something that shaped his views on death in a way because he was describing it to me as like kind of an escape hatch. You know, if life becomes unbearable, that's just like, it's a way out. And he's an artist. He's worked as an artist and also as a arts in like arts administration, I think he said. And he had this beautiful sort of meditation on death that he sent me, in which he describes it as a complete cessation of all consciousness. You know, it's like for him, it's the end. But to him, that's not a depressing thing. It's like quite liberating, and he also seemed quite at peace with it. He had a very much like a, what am I going to do? Sit around and mope that I have cancer? I'm going to live my life, and I'm going to like spend time with friends and do things that are important to me. And when I go, I go. And you can't tell really. Andrew, you probably don't know this either, but all these black parts are like cut out. That's a paper cutout. And then there's black paper behind. So, bet you didn't know that. And you can't see in the video really, but in the photo you can see there are little stars and things. So the black was meant to represent sort of this nothingness that death is to him, but sort of in like a warm, beautiful way. And his face ended up looking kind of melty. That wasn't really my intention. I just wanted it to look kind of abstract, and he had these beautiful lines of his glasses and mustache, so got kind of funky with his face. And then those are sort of like woodsy nature scenes, and I threw those in there because he described to me, pardon me, he described to me, his wife calls him a spiritual atheist because he's one of those people who doesn't believe necessarily in like God or afterlife, but has a sense of like, he described moments in nature he's had that have felt transcendent, where like he feels that connectedness, and that's like something you could call spiritual. But yeah, so I made this little herons, like an East Coast heron and a deer, and because that felt like something that was important to him and something I wanted to portray. So yeah, Andrew, it was a delight talking to you, and I'll be sending you your portrait probably this week. Hope you're well. Okay, let's see now. Ah, yam, prostate, Alistair. How did you know that, Alistair? Oh, because he said it. The detail is in. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Alistair. Okay, who do we have next? This is great. Also, make sure you take a moment to check out the audio clips because I wasn't able to include everything. Some of the quality wasn't good of some of the recordings, but I included their like 7 clips in there, I think. And they're just so, I think they're just so profound and like beautiful and important things to be hearing from people at the end of their lives. So once you're done watching this, go check that out. Yes. And next, thank you, Andrew. Next we have, this is Elizabeth. Yeah. So Elizabeth lives in Montreal, and she was born in 1932 in Hungary, and then moved to Vienna, and eventually she and her family made their way to Montreal during the Russian occupation. And so she lived as a painter, painting religious sculptures for years in Montreal before she then began working in a bank. And it was really touching talking to her because she was obviously a person who was really used to caring for others in her life. She spent 13 years looking after her mom who had Alzheimer's. And then her dad died, and her brother, Rudy, who she had lived with for 68 years, died of cancer some years ago. And that was really, really, really difficult for her because for the first time in her life, she didn't have people around her to be looking after, and she was just had to look after herself, which was new to her, I think. And so she fell into a pretty intense depression after that, it sounded like, and then had a lot of help in going to see a psychiatrist. And she said that she started, really like just thinking a lot about death and about life and meaning and trying to kind of come through that. Her brother, Rudy, had told her that she needed to have more self-compassion. And so she said that's something that she's been really working on. And she's in good health, but she last year had a knee replacement and she couldn't walk for a few days. And she told me that it was the first time in her long, long life, the very first time that she really realized that she was vulnerable and that she couldn't just only take care of herself without anybody's help. She couldn't walk, so she needed help. And so she realized she needs to be able to accept help and like ask for help, which I think is hard for a lot of people, especially if you're someone who's been used to caring for others for so much of your life. So I think that's something she's learning about more now. Yeah. Yeah, and I made this portrait of her with these her hair is roses. And that was kind of with the idea of, I just wanted her, I loved this idea of her finding self-compassion. And I I just depict her with, covered in roses, kind of with the idea of the roses representing this like self-love and self-compassion and like softness and beauty and all of this, you know. And so I made these. This is gold pen. This is watercolor and pen, and then gold pen. Just to like imagine her wrapped in warmth and beauty, because I have a lot of compassion for her, and I hope she's able to also feel compassion for herself, because she's a wonderful, wonderful person and clearly has a big heart, and I wish her all the best. Mwah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, put that, just put it down here. Okay, where are we? There are 14 portraits in total, in case anyone was wondering. We've got a few more. I think we're coming to the last few. Next we have. Oh, where is he? This is Michael. Where is he? So this is Michael. He's my neighbor, actually, turns out. Hi, Michael. I saw that you were on here. Hello. Hi. And we had a great conversation. Really lovely person. He grew up on the East Coast, described his childhood as being rather idyllic. Then he got married. He had 2 sons. They came over to the West Coast here. And one of the big challenges in Michael's life was that he had one son who had autism, which anyone who has someone with autism in their family knows that can be a really, really hard thing. But then the biggest challenge came when his son, who had autism, was 17 and was diagnosed with cancer, and he died a few months later. And so Michael, he referred to that period as indescribably bad. He and his wife divorced shortly after. But what was interesting is he's been diagnosed with colorectal cancer. Last year he was diagnosed. And the interesting thing was he told me, I've been through the worst. I've been through the worst things, so this I can handle. Like, this isn't going to be worse than losing my son. So that was really, like, humbling. And he described also how, like, going through, and, that isn't to say, like, obviously going through cancer is hard for anybody. He's going through chemo right now, which I saw him just a little while ago. It's a really draining process. But yeah, he described how going through the grief of losing his son has shaped, like, how he feels when people come to him with, like, little conflicts and little things that, like, are a big deal to them. And he's like, yes, and he's empathetic and he's kind, but he's like, he knows, like, he doesn't get really upset about the little things, maybe, is a way to describe it. But he tries to have compassion for the people around him. When I asked him what was important to him, he said that kindness is really important, and he tries to, just, like, empathize and imagine what it's like to be in the shoes of those around him. Which I think, like, a lot of people who experience suffering in their lives, like, sometimes that can really make you more empathetic and, like, more sensitive to people going through difficulties. So, yeah, I just thought he was really empathetic. Was a great guy. So I made this portrait. This is a little East Coast scene in the background. And then these 2 sons represent his 2 sons. SONS. And he's got this is copperleaf, this is paper, these are paper cutouts. He's got this golden eye, which I hadn't even really thought that much about the meaning until he asked me, and I was like, oh, clearly, sometimes the meaning is only clear afterwards. I was like, yeah, you've got your regular eye that you, like, see the outside world with, and you assess the things around you, and then you've got your other eye, which is, like, inward, which looks at your emotions and feelings and observes internal processes. Because he was a reflective guy, so that's Michael. Yeah. I was really uncertain about the green for a long time. I wasn't sure if it made him look like a zombie, but I don't think so. He likes it, so that's what matters. It's a really funny thing making portraits for people you don't know very well, because I didn't know anybody's taste. All I could do was go off my own intuition. Ooh, is it really laggy right now? Is it because it got darker? How's that? Okay, it's just gonna be laggy. That's fine. Maybe I'll open this. I don't know. I don't know why it does that. Oh well. Okay. Hi, Michael. Hi, Bosa. Aw, hi, Lulu. Thank you. Yes, I have been busy. Okay. Next we have. Oh, we have just 2 left. Oh, we have one of my favorites. Here we are. It is dark in here. I don't know how to make it more. We'll do that. So bright. Okay. Oh. Woohoo! Here we have Teresa. Oh, you can't tell it all in the video, but the colors in this one are really nice. You'll see in the photo. I had such a nice time talking to Teresa. She was, I think, only the 3rd or 4th person I talked to. She was pretty early on in the project. She's 93 years old. And we also talked for like 3 hours. She was full of energy and just like really great to talk to. She grew up in Scarborough, Ontario. Grew up quite poor and moved to the West Coast. Got married and then moved to the West Coast. Ooh, I don't remember. Well, anyway, she's on the West Coast now. She's in Victoria now. And we really connected over, like, she's a person who's really curious about the universe and the planets and the sky and the earth and everything. And we really bonded over that because I'm like, yeah, it's amazing. It's crazy. We're in space. What? Plants. What? What is this? So nuts. And it was nice talking to an older person who feels that way because I think sometimes some people, as they get older, forget how crazy the world is because you just get used to it. I don't know. Anyway, she had a like passionate curiosity that I really respected. Um, and she was a person who had a lot of acceptance around death as well. She talked about, how we're all just like atoms and we go through cycles and we go through our cycle of being born and then dying whenever we die, and it's just like normal and natural and why fear it? She didn't describe it being something she was afraid of. However, she did describe that losing people in her life is a really like other people dying is a big challenge, and I think a lot of people feel that way too. It's like it is often harder for the people left behind, and that was clearly something that was she would get emotional when she would talk about that. But she said that she tries not to dwell because dwelling doesn't do anything. So she described that. What else did we talk about? She's got there's not one of the first audio clip is of her. She was just a person who was like really happy to share, and she talked about this whole like cycles and returning to the earth kind of thing, a little bit like Barbara. This one and Barbara's kind of match a little, I think. And so I wanted to do this like very also naturey piece with flowers kind of growing out of her and through her hair. And this is abalone inlay that is inlaid into the wood. Meh. Meh. Those are the pearls. And to me, that just, I wanted to show her as being a part of everything because we are. We're part of everything. We're all made of stardust. So, yeah. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed talking to Teresa. She was very inspiring. And again, I don't get to talk to a lot of old people about life and death and about being old. And so I was really, really grateful that she was willing. Sending her much love if she sees this. If you see this, Teresa, mwah, hope you're doing well during all this. Ah. Oh, thanks, Adrian. Adrian just posted a link to the photos. Sumac. I will hopefully one day when COVID's over have a live exhibition in Victoria. Yeah, so then you could see them in real life. Okay, who do we have next? We have our last portrait next. Our last portrait. 14 people. At the beginning of this, I had no idea. I was just word of mouth. I was like, let's see how many people are willing to talk to a stranger about their terminal illness or about being old. And I ended up getting just like the perfect amount. I didn't know if I was going to get too many. I didn't know if I was going to get zero, but I got like just enough to be able to keep up with and not get too overwhelmed. So that's pretty nice. Last but not least, we have, let me just drink some water. We have Lucia! Oh, no way! Hi! Sumac. We have D. Dun, dun. Yeah. This was the second portrait that I completed. I quite like this one. It's diamond. I've never done a diamond-shaped portrait before. D. I had a great time talking to D. She is in her 70s, I think. 74, 73, 75. I forget. And I got to talk to her and her granddaughter, Nicole, who's also around my age. The three of us had a really just brilliant conversation. Dee is a person who also experienced death really young. Her sister and niece were murdered by her sister's husband when Dee was a child. And so really early on was faced with some pretty like traumatic death in her life. And her father died, unless it was her grandfather. It's in the description. The day that she was expecting her first son. So she's had plenty of death in her life, but the interesting thing was she talked about death like completely with no fear. She's like, my whole family is like that. We don't understand why everyone's so afraid of death. It's just a transition. It's just like the next thing. So she like fully, and Nicole was the same way too. They're just like really comfortable talking about it and really unafraid. They're like, I'm really curious to see what happens. And it was great because I think that like sense of peace that she feels around death also probably impacts, this healthy view she has on how to be with people who are dying. She talked a lot about how unfortunate it is when we someone's dying and if we just like don't even like they're going into surgery and they're like, if I don't make it, and people go, don't even say that or don't talk about it, or like, you look great today, or just she was really lamenting the fact that sometimes people feel the need to be kind of phony and like in an attempt to be positive, and she's like, just be honest, like people just want to have an honest conversation. And she talked about like needing, our society also feels like we need to like fix things and make things feel better. And she's like, people just need to feel their feelings. We need to feel our feelings. If a person's sad, they need to like have some time to feel sad and then go through that. And obviously no one wants to feel sad, but like we can't pretend like it's not happening when it is. So she really had a lot of wisdom to share about that. And Nicole too had a lot of wisdom to share. There's this great portion where she was pointing out how our society really hides decay. The act of decay is really hidden and tucked away. Like when the gardens in the city, the flowers start to die, they're just dug up and tossed away, and how like we have all these products to disguise aging, and just like in general our fear of death permeates so much around us. And we never get to see people in their winter, is how she had described it, because older people are put away into homes, and it's really sad. It's really sad. So yeah, Nicole had some really interesting things to contribute as well. There's a recording of her in the audio clip of both of them actually. Nicole refers to like how would we live differently if we knew we were going to die, if we acknowledged our death? Which is like a question I think we should all ask ourselves. By the way, I forgot to say this at the beginning. I did say at the beginning. Go down to the discussion. Chelsea Ped is her Facebook name, has posted a discussion starter. Go and discuss in it. Answer the question. Anyway, yeah. So I was really pleased with this portrait. She loves blue. Her whole house was blue, so it was very obvious I wanted to make her a blue portrait. She has these beautiful blue eyes. Beautiful. And this is silver leaf and silver pen and canvas and oil paint. Can you hear that? Wow. Sounds like a drum. Cool. So that's Dee and Nicole. The two of them are very close, very, very connected. It just felt really obvious that I needed to include Nicole in the portrait because the two of them have like a super soul bond that I wanted to acknowledge and express. So yeah. So there we go. Yeah. So that is all of the portraits that I have done. And now, so at the live exhibition, I was going to be doing a live exhibition originally. Then COVID happened. You want to bring that chair? And at the exhibition, I wanted to sing a song because I like singing songs. And so because I can't, we're limited in the people we're able to be exposed to right now. Fortunately, I have a roommate who's a really good singer. This part goes, yeah. Really good singer. Her name's Steph. She doesn't want to be shown, but I'm just going to do this so that at least, how about this? Shoulder?
We were going to do a finger puppet, but...
Well, you can make your finger puppet. You want your finger puppet to sing?
I don't actually think I have a finger puppet.
Oh, I meant your fingers.
Oh, just this.
So this
Maybe it'll just be my shoulder.
Okay, this is my Steph's shoulder. This is my dear friend Shoulder, who is a really good singer. And we're going to sing a song because there's this beautiful song by the Wailing Jennies that's called Long Time Traveler. And it's a beautiful song about death. There are a lot of beautiful songs about death. I should make a compilation that I can send out to people. That'd be another great resource. Yes. Anyway, this is a song I've been obsessed with for ages. So I was like, Steph, can you sing a song with me? And she just learned it, and we're just gonna sing. It's a 3-part harmony song, but we're gonna sing it in 2 parts, and I'll just bounce around in between. And I really appreciate my friend Shoulder, who is such a good shoulder singer. Singing
Who
Shoulder.
thought that Shoulders could sing?
Who thought?
So it's... I
you want
the lyrics.
I'm entertaining you while Steph will be right back. Ta-la-la. Let's see if anyone has said anything. Hi, Steph's Shoulder. Erin says hi to your shoulder.
Hey, Erin.
Ha.
Did I just lose it again?
Okay. I'm Steph's biggest fan.
It's true, you really are. It's so sweet.
She doesn't understand what it... Well, anyway. Ready, everybody? Sing along if you know it.
These fleeting charms of earth, farewell, your springs of joy are dry. My soul now seeks another home, a brighter world on high. I'm a long time traveling here below. I'm a long time traveling away from home. I'm a long time traveling here below to lay this body down. Farewell, kind friends whose tender care has long engaged my love. Your fond embrace I now exchange for better friends above.
time traveling here below. I'm a long time traveling away from home. I'm a long time traveling here below to lay this body down. I'm a long time traveling here below. I'm a long time traveling away from home. I'm a long time traveling here below to lay this body down. To lay this body down.
You got an ear.
They saw her ear. You saw her ear. You know she's real. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. I think a song is an important thing and a beautiful way to close things. Oh, so sweet. I'll post this song in the event, actually, in the discussion. I'll post the link to the song. Oh, everyone's saying nice things. Oh, you guys. So maybe. Thanks, Brittany. If anyone has any questions, you can ask them, maybe. There will be a lag. There's like a 10-second lag probably between real time and what you're hearing, so it may take a minute, but yeah, if you're feeling done, go explore the exhibition, see the photos, listen to the audio clips, check out the resource folder that Chelsea put out, go down to the discussion to answer the question that she has posted. My website, there's a donation page. If you feel like making a donation, you can. You don't have to. I just want all of this, I want this all to be out there. I think this is important stuff. Ooh, am I like freezing? Is this working? Best way to spend an evening. Thanks, Emmanuel. Thanks, Nimra. Oh, everyone's so... Clap, 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 clap. Oh, thank you. What keeps me going? Mucha asked what keeps me going in this work. Two things. One, it feels really important. It feels really, really important, and if I choose to make art that like I think will have a positive impact, then the motivation's like just way higher. Oh, I'm tearing up. And I don't know, my artistic motivation to make art in general is just pretty high, and I almost couldn't even explain it. But like, yeah, just knowing that there's like something that needs to get out there keeps me going. Yeah, and then like good feedback from people. Everyone I told about this project was so encouraging, so that kept me going as well. Oh, Emmanuel, you have a question. What is the string that Michael is holding? Ooh, so that is a string that is connected to one of the sons, and one of his sons is still alive, and one of his sons has passed away. And I hadn't decided which was which. You could say that the string is connected to the one who's still alive because he's still physically connected, or you could say it's to the one that he has this like invisible connection to because he's no longer present on this physical plane. So it's the connection to whichever son he chooses it to be connected to. Thanks, Emmanuel. Oh. Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Josie. This show should travel. You know, Andrew, when it was live, I was thinking of bringing it to Montreal and Vancouver. Instead, it's just on the internet everywhere, so there's that. Aw, thanks, Sarah. That's so nice. It's really, yeah, another thing that kept me going is just everyone I talked to was like, yes, this is important. I'm like, okay, I guess this is important. I'll keep doing it. Patra! Blah! Ah, yeah, Emmanuel, yeah. Yeah, it just some things just emerge, but that was definitely like it's a connection to. I think I imagine it being the string being connected to the son who died, but it's up to him to make his own meaning. So that was what the string. Yeah. Yeah. I feel so good. This hummingbird came and just perched right outside the window and watched me for a while, and I always take hummingbirds as a good omen in my life. That just felt like a nice like, oh, thanks, bud. Good things are happening. You're the greatest, Petra. Thanks, Rosanna. What are some visual artists that inspire my work? Aubrey Beardsley, huge, real big and inspiring. Um, Honestly, ever since I discovered Instagram and started following, I just follow artists on Instagram. It's like purely an art platform for me. So there are a lot of artists on there who inspire me. I only know their Instagram names. Who else has influenced me? Honestly, a lot of my inspiration comes from music. No, on Instagram, I don't know, there's who inspires me on Instagram? You know, I apparently don't have a very easy question to that, Kim, other than Aubrey Beardsley, definitely. Thanks, Linda. More creative projects exploring these themes? Yeah, I seem to be really on the death thing. If you go to my website, there are a few animations I've made about death, and I don't know. In all honesty, I let the inspiration lead the way. I don't know what my next project is going to be, and I just know it'll come, and I'll be like, okay, I'll do that. But death seems to be a really important theme to me. So, so yeah, it's likely I'll do more. Thanks, Petra. Aw, Michael, yeah, cool. I'm glad he liked the string without knowing what it represented. Chelsea, what's next for me? Yeah, I don't currently have any great big projects planned right now, so I'm just taking this sweet COVID free time I have to just explore. I'm just exploring with different mediums. Yeah. Link to the portraits and stories to everyone I know. I could do that. It's on my wall. People can come and check. You send it to everyone you know. As an artist, there's only a certain level to which I'm willing to push my art on people. I keep freezing. Oh no. Yeah. Well, I don't know what to do about that, but have I thought about interviewing babies? Michael. You know, it's funny. I have this thing where people will commission baby portraits sometimes, and I'm like, oh, babies, I don't want to paint a baby. And then I paint it and I'm like, oh my god, I love painting this baby. That'd be interesting though, because birth really is like the other side of death. Andrew, if you go to the description of the event, it's got various links, and there's one that'll say that it's to the audio clips. But yeah, babies. I've talked to a lot of hospice nurses, who talk about witnessing birth and witnessing death and having very much this sense that it is like the same thing, which I think is really cool. Be interesting to talk to hospice workers. I like this theme of like having conversations with people and doing portraits of them. I've thought of doing that with other demographics, like doing like homeless people or immigrants or addicts or just like, you know, any marginalized communities and like getting their stories out there and doing portraits. And that might be a sweet thing. Because I really love doing portraits. I've been getting all these tattoos recently and they're all just faces. I just love faces. There's just so much in a face. I don't know. Thanks, Adrian, for posting that. Oh, I feel so good. My roommates are making art in the corner and it's beautiful. It's so dark.
Okay.
I will sit here in case anyone has any more questions. Like Blair, can you do animals with the same photorealism as some of your sketches of faces? I've not really tried. I don't think I've ever tried to do a photorealistic animal. Have I? You know, I don't think so. If if someone commissioned me, by the way, I'm open for commissions. If you want to commission a portrait or a photorealistic animal, as Blair is suggesting, hit me up, send me a message. Oh yeah, I have art for sale. That's another link that's in the description, is just like prints I have and books and some various things. Various things. Tra la 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 la. Super fun to do. Jenny J. M. Davies. Super talented artist. We went to high school together. California's Petra. Naked mole rat. Yeah, you know, Michael, if you want to pay me to paint a naked mole rat, I will do that for you. The Robin portrait. Yeah. Yeah, I loved the Robin portrait. She had such a, there's no way I could have made an ugly portrait of her. She's so beautiful. But I really, yeah, enjoyed that one too. Petra! I would love to paint your dog for money. I would love to. Yeah, I wonder if I could do a photorealistic animal. I'm sure to some degree. Why not? I didn't know I could do photorealistic portraits until I tried. I mean, photorealistic to whatever degree. Jenny. Oh, these silly people. Holy crap, this was a lot longer than I thought. An hour and a half. I was like, maybe half an hour. Nope. Longer. So nice. Alright, I'm going to be on here for 5 more minutes, and then I'm going to go and, I don't know, eat some bread. My roommate made bread. I'm going to just live off bread tonight. Ah. Actually, I will probably, looking at my sketches. Are you talking about the old sketches, Andrew? The, like, that I posted a long time ago? The ink sketches? Oh, Petra. Petra, you were in my dream last night. I couldn't remember what you were doing exactly, so I didn't message you, but you were there. I love you. If those are the sketches you're referring to, Andrew, they are not for sale. I could make prints of some of them, I suppose, but they're from a really old, really important sketchbook. Okay, I think I'm gonna get off this thing. I'm gonna go and hang out. I'm gonna be online for a little bit, I think. Yes, Andrew, yes. Yeah, those ones are not for sale. Are there prints of any of them that are for sale? Nope. Sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna take off. I'm gonna be online for a little bit. If you want to message me or comment on my photos or do whatever, could you do a quick recap of a couple of the prices behind you? I got here late. Prices behind me. Oh, no need to go everything. Only 2 in the top. Jenny, are you talking about prices of the portraits? Because those aren't for sale, except for this one. This one's for sale. It's the only one, though. And I didn't say a price because I hadn't decided one yet. Is that what you're talking about, though? Quick recap of a couple of the portraits behind me? Is that what you're saying? Oh. You know, Jenny, this, once it's finished, it's going to still be available. I'm going to end it, and then there will be a link on my wall where you can just rewatch the beginning. Yeah. Okay, I love you. I love you, Petra. Mwah. Thank you, Chelsea. Oh, pieces. I see, Jenny. Yes. Just rewatch the beginning. Yeah. As soon as this is over, you'll be able to do that. Thank you, Andrew. Pardon me. Thanks, Jenny. Aw. Thanks, Ward. Thanks, Linda. Thanks, Jenny. Thanks, all of you. This has been great. I am going to end live video. That is the button I am going to press. Thank you so much. Couldn't have done this without all of you. Thank you. My heart is so full. Mwah. Bye. In the live video, you will be able to choose if you want. End.